Hello, so my name's Cheryl Best. I write and speak about health and wellness, and I also write and speak about living with a chronic illness. I've got a few chronic illnesses, and I like to talk about it. And hopefully, my words, if you're in the same boat as me, my words will help you too. So that's all about me, and that's what I'm doing all of this for. So I've written a piece called "Understanding Illness Stigma," and I'm going to be reading through the piece, but I'll also be adding bits on, adding my thoughts, further thoughts as I continue reading. So. Let's start. So, do you feel stigmatized by society because you have an illness? Yes. If you do, then I hear you. And sometimes that's how I feel. I feel that I've at times been put in a box because I've got an illness. And I think what that can tend to do is just make you feel kind of less than. And so um, I at times do get quite frustrated that I've been put in this box. So I'll continue on reading. So, society tends to view illness as a vulnerability. And one thing I'm not is vulnerable. And I'm sure that's the same for you too. Now, although I'm not vulnerable, which I've already said, the thought of people putting me in the vulnerable box can at times affect the way I see myself, especially when I'm having days when my illness decides to kick my butt. So today, I'm not having a kick my butt moment at the minute. Pain at the moment is not too bad, but there are days where I have extreme pain, and it's very difficult because there's some days where I feel like I've been cured. It's like wow, there's no pain. Um, I always have pain daily, but my pain seems to get worse in the afternoon and evenings. So mornings is usually not too bad. Also, if I not keeping myself busy, I can get very stiff, and then the more that I'm not moving, the more stiffness happens, the more pain. But so if I'm having one of those days where it's really bad, but where the day before I felt fantastic, then that's when I kind of feel that I'm in the vulnerable box. And being in that vulnerable box can make you feel even more down, feel even more less than. Um, and so, yeah, so I do have those days where I feel like that. And I think that is the whole stigma of illness. Stigma that has been imposed on us from other people or from media or from politicians. And then that can just make us feel less than. So anyway, continuing on with what I wrote. So how society stigmatizes illness. So I think the root of illness stigma lies in cultural beliefs that equate being sick with weakness and inadequacy. And indeed, so I've already mentioned this already, and indeed, media and societal narratives often glorify good health and productivity. If we experience ill health, which makes us unproductive and unable to work, then we're less than. And for chronic illness sufferers like me who don't fit the ideal of being, inverted commas, normal, this makes us feel undervalued. I'm often reminded when in pain that my illness has impacted my purpose in life. And the last thing I need to see or hear is people further demoralising me. And over here in the UK, there's been a lot about, we've just not long had a budget here, and there's been a lot about how people like myself are kind of taking things, and other people are having to work in order to fund the less than people. And I think in the past, because I've been a taxpayer for a lot of my life, and so in the past maybe I had some of those views, but then when you're in that box where you might need a bit of help because life has dealt you a set of cards, um, it's a very different story when you're in that box. And I do wonder if sometimes these people, whether media, whether politicians, whether whoever is out there spieling all this stuff, if they were put into this box, what they would then be thinking, what their views would be, because they've been dealt these cards, which means that they're unable to work or they're unable to be, in inverted commas, productive. So yeah, it's quite difficult having to deal with all of that, because it's not something that I've chose to do. If I had the choice, I would rather be out there working. Um, but at the moment, I haven't got that choice, and so yeah, it's the last thing that I need to be hearing, making me feel even more guilty because I can't be out there being productive in the eyes of these people who have deemed this way of productivity, or what productivity looks like. So I think, like I said, the root of all of this is cultural beliefs and how we've been brought up, and how it's been deemed on us that what work looks like, or what healthy looks like. And I think really we need to try and change that. Will I be able to change that? I don't think so. But I think we can change that with how we view things ourselves. But I'll continue talking, because I go on about this in my writing. So guilt, a biggie. So I've spent a long time feeling guilty for being ill. And like I've said before, I can't work. I have less energy than what I would like to have. I'm in pain daily, and I have pain and fatigue which prevent me from being present for my family. And so that brings on a lot of guilt. And for a lot of us with chronic pain sufferers, chronic illness sufferers, the guilt, we don't need to hear more of it, because we're already living it. We're living it with all this guilt because there's things that we can't do. We want our bodies to be able to do these things, and it's just not doing it. And so this guilt has been brought on by a lifetime of viewing illness as being less than. So I'm doing that to myself, and then others are doing that to me and other people who have chronic pain, who are chronic illness sufferers. And so at times, this causes me to question my self-worth. So do you feel like this too? And if you do, then you and I'm talking to myself, must recognise that these feelings aren't due to us failing on a personal level. Instead, this is us responding to external pressures. So this isn't our fault. And what we're responding to when we're feeling less than is the pressures that society puts on us, pressures of what the media puts on us, and what we see and what we deem as being successful or productive. So, to conclude, understanding the stigma around illness is vital to address the guilt and negative perceptions that we face. We may not be able to change societal views on illness, which is what I've said. I don't think I am going to be able to change people's views. No, I don't think I can do that. And you single-handedly might not be able to do that as well. But what we can do is have more empathy towards ourselves, and we can stop the self-judgment. And for me, it's getting better for me, the self-judgment. I've come to terms that this is the cards that I've been dealt with, and there are days that are going to be not so good, and there's going to be days where I have really good days, and to stop judging when I have bad days, and have more empathy towards myself. That has been increasing. I think when or for me, having experiencing the first maybe year of this, but then also being told that this is not going to go away, this is here to stay, and instead changing my mindset about, well, what can I do to make my days better, and not so much judging my days on a daily basis, but maybe looking at more on a monthly basis, like how have I been feeling this month compared to last month, instead of judging, oh, today I was good yesterday, today I'm not very good, tomorrow probably I'm not going to be good again. But stopping the judgment in that way, and just having more empathy towards myself, that yeah, okay, there's going to be some bad days, but that's okay, to kind of expect it and not get down when those days are presented. So stopping the self-judgment. And for many of us, illness is not something we've imposed on ourselves. It's just the cards we've been dealt with. So, would I want to have had arthritis? No, thank you. No, I didn't ask for it. It just came. Did I want to have bulging discs and have issues with my spine? No, I didn't ask for it. It's just here. So no, just don't give ourselves a hard time for these things that we have no control over. We need to stop doing that. So, to finish, let's start by changing societal views on illness, by first embracing self-love. And we need to ignore the opinions of those who have a very, very narrow view of what health and productivity should be. So we just need to drown out the noise. And I think a lot of this has come from because, like I said, over here, there's been a budget, and there's been a lot of things that have been imposed on people with chronic illnesses who have to claim certain benefits to help them. That kind of puts you in the less than category. And yeah, it's just this whole kind of demonizing people who are who are disabled, you know, and I don't like using the disabled word because I don't really like to view myself as having a disability, and maybe that's something that I need to change as well, to have some acceptance over that. But yeah, it's just horrible to hear it, and I think the thing that maybe I need to do and other people need to do is just to shut off from all of that and just live in our own little bubble and have this appreciation and love for ourselves. And so that when those things are coming in, that we can just kind of bounce off, you know, make it bounce off us. Um, so yeah, so I'm going to finish up there. So have a wonderful day, and hope you're not having too bad of a day and not in too much pain. And so until I'm back here again, have a wonderful day. You take care. Bye bye.